What's up, everyone? Welcome back to King Anime Review, and for this video I will be reviewing episode 178 of Boruto Naruto Next Generations, which was the start of the Vessel arc. The official start of the Vessel arc in the Boruto Naruto Next Generations anime was this episode, and this was a great start to the arc. So basically what was happening in this episode was there was a memorial service being held for the people who died in the fourth grade ninja war arc, and a lot of people in the village attended the memorial service, and Tsunade gave a speech about how she thinks it's important that they tell the new generation who haven't experienced war, they tell them about what happened in the past and how they attained the peace that they have now. She thinks that's very important. She gave a speech. Of course, Shikamaru, Ino, they were there paying respects to their dad on the day of remembrance, as they called it, and it was a lot of reflection in this episode. This episode was basically, it was a lot of reflection back to the fourth grade ninja war, and we got something that we desperately needed as far as manga fans. I've seen a lot of people ask for this, and this is something that I had a huge problem with in the manga, where they didn't explain Ayo and how he survived. I mean, they didn't explain how he survived, or even show us how he survived the explosion from the fourth grade ninja war arc, the 10 tail beast bomb that hit the headquarters that Ayo was in. So in this episode, we actually did see Ayo for the first time in the Boruto anime, and they actually did show a little flashback and showed what happened and how he survived that tail beast bomb explosion, that Jubi bomb explosion that hit the headquarters that he was in. So I'm gonna get to that, but first off, he came to the Hidden Leaf Village. He was there to try to get Katasuke to fix up his prosthetic arm that Katasuke made for him, but Katasuke wasn't in the village at the time. But while he was there, he ended up running into Mujino. Mujino started a conversation with him, and Mujino found out that he was a survivor of the fourth grade ninja war, and he basically told his story. They ended up going to the memorial service. They were a little bit late, but they ended up going there and paying their respects to Shukaku and Inoichi and all the characters who died in the fourth grade ninja war arc. And that's when Ayo started to reflect on what happened that day and how he survived, and he told Mujino exactly what was going on and how he survived that explosion. Now, as far as the explanation itself, the fact that we got an explanation and a flashback as to what happened is great. That's another example of how the anime is better than the manga when it comes to adding more details and stuff like that. The anime overall has been better than the manga just throughout. I'm not talking about in terms of the current arc. The current arc in the manga is fantastic, way better than anything in the anime in terms of story. But when the anime gets to that stuff, when the anime gets to adapting the manga stuff, it usually makes it a lot better. And this is another example of that, because it actually showed us a flashback as to what happened to Ayo and how he survived the tail beast bomb. Whereas in the manga, we got absolutely no explanation, no flashback, nothing that showed how he survived the tail beast bomb, which was really ridiculous, because they just basically said he survived, and they just showed him. Like, they didn't give us an explanation or a flashback as to how he survived something that should have killed him. Now, as far as the explanation itself, it was decent. It wasn't the good thing is we got an explanation, so I'm not going to be complaining about that anymore, because that's something that I complained about in the manga. I have nothing to complain about regarding Ayo being alive anymore, because at least they gave us a brief little flashback and explanation as to what happened. So that's cool. It's good that we got that, but I still don't think it was particularly that great. I mean, basically what it was he was the only survivor, and they showed that he was like under some rocks, and the rocks were moving. So the medical ninja said that, hey, we got a survivor over here, and they took him to the hospital. They actually stated that he was in a coma for years in a coma. Now that's crazy. I believe that stuff happened in real life too. I know people go in comas, but for years, that's a long time to be in a coma. So he was in a coma for years. When he woke up, Katasuke, he was basically really depressed, and he was thinking to himself that he'd rather have died than to be living in the condition that he was in with the state of his body and stuff. He was missing an arm and a leg and stuff. But Katasuke came, he gave him the prosthetic arm and leg, and then he went through Ao went through rehab, and he got motivated to get better, and he ended up getting better and started to live a normal life. So yeah, the explanation itself, that's pretty much what it was. They just showed that he survived, but it wasn't necessarily a great explanation as to what happened. But hey, at least we got one, unlike in the manga where they just said he was alive and then left it at that. We got a little flashback that showed what happened. That was cool. Now, also, I just want to quickly mention that for anybody who might be disappointed or let down with the explanation, I think first of all it's better that we got it rather than in the manga. Like I said, we got nothing. They just said he survived and that was it. But also, this is kind of realistic too. I mean, not even kind of realistic. This is realistic in terms of what happened in that scenario, because people in real life survive things that you would think is actually impossible to survive, like plane crashes. It's actually people who have survived plane crashes, like falling from the sky in the airplane and actually survived. So during catastrophes and like when when a lot of people die from tragic events, it's not uncommon for there to be like one survivor, even when it seems like that's not likely to happen. So it's kind of like it seemed like a miracle, but things like that do happen in real life too, where people survive super horrible events. So, anyways, with that being said, that's what I gotta say about the explanation. It was good that we got one, but it wasn't necessarily that impressive. But hey, it was good that we got one. I'm not gonna be complaining about that anymore. So, anyways, so with the memorial service, Tsunade, she gave a speech. She basically said that she thinks that they should teach the younger generation who don't know about war, the new generation, they should teach them about the events of the war. And then she went on to talk about what happened in the war and stuff like that, and how the people who died sacrificed their lives to protect the world. Yeah, that all of that happened, but I think it's really important to mention that the key characters that actually ended the war, that actually protected and saved the entire world, was specifically Naruto and Sasuke. They're the ones who undid the infinite Tsukuyomi. And Sasuke, he don't get enough credit, bro. I'm getting sick of them not giving Sasuke credit. He's actually the person. Him and Naruto, they're the two characters that actually literally themselves ended the war. They're the main heroes of the war, and they don't ever give Sasuke credit for that, which is really annoying. And also Sakura, Kakashi, Obito, they also took part in the battle against Kaguya. Those were the main characters who actually protected the entire world. Those characters who died, yeah, they made some sacrifices and stuff like that, but they weren't the main ones who actually ended the war. But you know, it's cool that they gave him credit anyways. But anyways, getting on with the rest of the episode, it was Shikamaru. He was talking to Ino about his dad Shukaku, and Ino was talking about her dad Inoichi, and Shikamaru, he was basically wondering why, or he was wondering if if their dads actually thought that they could go forward with the plan, because they actually gave us a brief little flashback as to what happened. And in the war, right before they died, right before headquarters died, they relayed a strategy as to how they think basically a strategy of how to beat the Ten Tails. And Shikamaru, he was wondering in this episode, he was wondering, like, did they actually think that we could do that? Did they actually think that we could actually accomplish? Basically, did they think that we could actually get the job done? And when Ao was at the memorial service, he showed up a little bit late, but Shikamaru asked him that question. Did their dads actually think that they were capable of carrying out the strategy or whatever? And Ao basically told him that their dads had complete faith in them because they were their kids and they had complete faith in them, and they believed that they could do it. And even Shukaku said before he died, Shikamaru said, well, what if that strategy don't work? And Shukaku said, well, if it doesn't work, you live on and carry on the reins, Shikamaru. So yeah, their dads had faith in them. That made that, that was a very emotional moment hearing that. You could tell like it was very emotional for Ino and Shikamaru to hear that. Specifically, they heard it from Al, who was actually the sole survivor of the attack on headquarters. So yeah, that was pretty much what happened in the episode. I know I went over that fairly quickly, but yeah, that was pretty much what happened. At the end of the episode, you seen Ao basically like grab a leaf or something, and he actually talked to Mujino. Mujino was asking him like, "What are you gonna do now?" And because he basically he lied, he kind of lied to. Well, actually, I'm not gonna spoil it for the anime onlys. But point being, he told Mujino that he wasn't a shinobi anymore, and he's not gonna be a shinobi. He's just gonna live an ordinary life and not be a shinobi. And but at the end of the episode, you could clearly tell that they're setting something up with Ao, and he like grabbed a leaf or whatever, and I think that was symbolic as to what he plans on doing with the Hidden Leaf Village, or to the Hidden Leaf Village. Now the preview for next week's episode is going to be about Victor trying to steal the vessel or the wish of Jigen. So that seems very interesting, and I can't wait to see what happens next week with that. And we also did see the core members in the preview for next week's episode 179. We seen a couple core members, not all of them, but a couple. We seen Delta, Amato, and Jigen. And in a couple of instances during those clips that we saw them, during those small couple of seconds that we saw them, they did look weird in a couple of the instances. Not like throughout the whole preview, but in certain parts they did look weird. I'll talk about that next week in detail about their designs and stuff like that. But keep in mind, their designs could possibly improve for the anime, because right now I believe the studio that's working on, as a matter of fact, I've seen the listings for the studios, and Studio Period, the main studio that works on Boruto, is not working on next week's episode. So with that being said, this is going to be a different studio working on it, so I think it got outsourced. So that could explain why the art might not be that good. But like I said, I'll wait until next week's episode to talk more about that. But as of right now, yeah, that's basically what I got to say about the preview. I'll wait to talk more about that next week. But yeah, that's it for the preview. Now, with all of that being said, I'm going to give you my rating for this week's episode. Like I said, I thought it was a good way, as a matter of fact, a great way to start off the Vessel arc. Once again, they're adding more details to stuff that wasn't fully explained or elaborated on in the manga, which is fantastic. That's what an anime adaptation is supposed to do, and it did a great job at that, with giving us a flashback and showing us what happened, how Ao survived, and etc. So that was good. Added more details to the story from the manga. That was great. And yeah, that was pretty much the main thing of the episode. So my overall rating for story, I'm gonna give it a I'll say this is a 10. I kind of hesitated because I'm between 9.5 and a 10, but I'll just say a 10. I'll say a 10 because I think it did a great job at adding more details to the story in the manga, and it was just a nice episode overall in terms of story. Even though not much happened besides the flashbacks from the 4th Grade Ninja War and giving us more detail about what happened to Ao and stuff. That was the main stuff that happened in the episode. So yeah, 10 for a story, 10 out of 10 for the story. Art and animation, they were both standard as usual, not top tier, but they were both standard animation for Boruto. So 9 out of 10 as I usually give it for the art and animation. And overall, I'll say it was a 9.5 episode. And well, actually no, I'll say it was a 10 episode, 10 out of 10, because the art and animation, it was actually slightly better than usual. So I'll say 9.5 for both of those, art and animation. But yeah, that's all I got to say about the episode. Thank you guys for watching. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe. And also turn on that notification bell to be notified of my future videos. Drop a comment. Let me know what you thought of the episode and of my review. And please like the video if you liked it. And with that being said, thank you guys for watching the video. And I'll catch you on the next one. Peace out.